So if you click this video, then obviously you know that there is an Illuminati and that people are dying on suspicious circumstances that don't always add up. Then you realize that there is something called sacrifice and that there's something to be gained from killing people. And that idea, it sticks in your mind and you can't get it out. You need to know the science behind it, the energy, and why anybody would be doing this. Hearing about things like this are more interesting than your favorite movie. Fortunately, you've come to the right place. You've gotten in with somebody who's been around the block, who decided to become a monk for 6 years, and that has come forward now with information. And we're going to get to the bottom of it, and we're going to expose exactly what's going on with these people who like to hide behind closed doors and do witchcraft and then come in front of everybody like they've accomplished something when they've done nothing, but waste everybody's time and get everybody trapped in cycles that they can't get out of and that we don't even know that we're aware of that we're in. And so what we're going to do now is expose the sacrifice that the Illuminatis make, and why so many artists and politicians and regular people disappear and die under circumstances, and why does the news and the police department and people and nobody knows what happened and the story doesn't add up and everybody just moves on, and then we're on to the next person that dies for whatever reason. And so now we'll decide now, and we'll get to the bottom of it. So when I read in Google, so you know Google is doing that, and we're on YouTube, right? So the act of giving up something that you want to keep, especially in order to get or do something else or to help someone. So an act of killing a person or animal in a religious ceremony as an offering to please a god, a person or animal that is killed in sacrifice. And so, and it says to please a god, the god is in a lowercase g. And so, all right, well, there's some certain songs that are out here, but when you say, well, would you kill for me? Would you kill your mother? Would you kill your father for me? How dedicated are you? And so many times when somebody's asked to give something up, they're being offered a new life. There's obviously, like you've heard, a door you can walk through where you can have access to a huge network of people. You can do tons of business. You can basically run around the country like an outlaw with very little accountability, as long as you agree to serve this goal or this purpose that has been set forward for you, which is to basically keep all the money and resources in one place and to let people who don't know or are out of the know suffer, and to keep them unaware of what's going on to them, and for infinity, for an uncountable amount of time, which we have been here, to keep everybody in this scam, never finding out who they are, what works, what doesn't, what a soul is, what a spirit is, and all the ancient information and buildings and the clear global civilization that existed here once upon a time. We never find out about that, never find out about any of the Egyptian secrets, never find out how to do all the cool stuff, never find out how to do levitation, never find out free energy, right? Because there's this big ball of energy in the sky, but we're all paying bills every month. It makes no sense. And so you start to see what companies and what people are involved in certain power scams, because you'll even see back in the day, the first cars were actually electric. And then what many of the companies that we see now that we look at is those companies that are too big to fail, that pretty much every single large company that came up, late 1800s, before 1960, 1950s, all those companies that came out and that are still around that we trust and, that are part of the family, and even our new family members that like our tech family members that are trying to just look at their commercials, how, look at a commercial from like the 60s and the 70s and see how they understand that there's no reason why anybody would buy KFC because everybody cooks dinner for themselves. But nowadays it's like, it's assumed that people don't want to cook. And so you see that people have been made weaker. The household is weaker. The household has less morals. Many times there is no household. There's nobody at home. Everybody's at work and at school. And whatever we believe, we're being told. We have no real spiritual foundation and no morals. And you see that if somebody believes something for a religious reason or for their God, they are made fun of and they're made a joke. Meanwhile, you have those same people are doing witchcraft and worshiping all types of gods and deities behind the scenes. And these people have no morals. There's only a goal. Most of them live in fear every single day because they're threatened. Even if they think or start talking about, it's like if you only hang around people that are in your cult, you better be talking that game, that same game that they talking, or else people are going to get suspicious. And so, there's people out here that want to be successful so bad that they're willing to do anything. And we've all seen those people, the people that were in our class when we were younger, raising their hand, getting straight A's. And I was never that kind of person because I had common sense and realized that, who do I need to impress? All I need to do is learn. I don't need to show you that I've learned. It's just a lot of things about school that make no sense, that really weed out the people that are free thinkers and the people that are sheep, the only people that are left and that you'll see ending up going to the best schools and the best places, working for the best companies, are the people who are say yes the most and that work the hardest. And so it's not people that are creating things and doing things for themselves. It's the people that are the teacher's pets. They just want to impress the person who's in charge so that they can get a pat on the head. And then, I guess this is very short-sighted, and you can go your whole life, with these type of cycles, just, impressing your manager or impressing your boss, getting that promotion every couple of years, thinking you're doing something. Maybe you get a little bit more money. It's all about what you're willing to put up with, how strong your spirit is, how much you think you can affect your actual situation. Obviously, if you've made some type of oath or a pact with the demon that's in blood, or you've joined some organization, you've went through several weeks, maybe months, maybe even years of hazing, being on the outside. You're around these people every night. You see a lot of people are, they don't have family. They don't have people they can hang out with. And so if you can provide, you don't know how some people grew up. So if you can provide them with anything that resembles a family, they'll be likely to stay out there. And so the people that they want to find to join these organizations are loners. That's why you hear the story of people just teenagers packing up and moving out to Hollywood so that they can become something, whatever they thought they could become. Many times it's just out of rebellion or thinking things are boring. Many of these people grow up, maybe they had a hard time in high school, a hard time with their parents. They weren't accepted here. They felt like they're not good enough. Then they feel like, okay, if I go down here, and, even this is black people, growing up in the hood, feeling inferior, not poor, not having anything. And then something like being an artist, I guess you can call that art, being an actor. This looks like those people are having the most fun in that they don't have any responsibility. And so somebody who's short-sighted will see this and think, okay, that's the life for me. And I don't blame anybody for that. However, it's important to know that the basis and the foundation of which this has been created is definitely nothing to be chasing after. Obviously, we know that Aleister Crowley and his crew created Hollywood, and also that the Soviet Union was the first people to actually have something like a Hollywood, where you pull these people out and you get them, you pamper them, you get them looking beautiful, you feed them the great food, you tell them a few secrets, and then you get them looking beautiful and talented, and you get them oath and binded up. Sometimes it's just signing a contract. Sometimes these people even become agents for some of these organizations, and so you sign something that might even say, yeah, if you tell anybody any of this information, then you've become a traitor to the United States government and you will be taken out. Like, there's things that you can be punished by death or by life in jail. And so you really don't know what a lot of these people have agreed to, and then why a lot of them are in jail or have been in jail for a long time. And then many of them come out different than they were before, which, you can make your assumptions here, there, but, if you're not playing by the rules, you'll end up in jail. And trust me, if you're playing by the rules and you're doing a great job, you'll probably be untouchable. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to go join one of these groups, you're just a pawn. And so you don't really mean anything. It's nothing to get in $1 million deal and to be walking around like you're doing something, but you don't even know what you're a part of. And so, yeah, you get $1 million. They put your name in the paper and up everywhere. They say, hey, yeah, this girl has $1 million, like they do with the NBA stars, or he signed a contract for this amount and that amount. And you just need to know that, just everything. If you're an athlete, pro sports is rigged. If you're an artist, you'll be singing about whatever they want you to sing about, and you'll see exactly what it's all about. Tearing down your community, over-sexualized, super violent to your people, right? Because you can't target anyone else. Like if they were talking about going and doing a drive-by on a billionaire, then I think the whole music industry would stop. But as long as it's kill a nigga and fuck a bitch, then it's all good. We'll sell it to you. And by the way, that is Satanism in the way that these people use it, because brothers with deeper knowledge will tell you, yeah, Satan is this being that lives in the sea that runs the Emerald Kingdom, and it's like the connection between, good and evil. It's just weird because when you deal with Hegelian dialect, yes, there was always stupidity, which is what evil is, but when you talk about darkness and negativity, those things are different than what evil is. Evil would just you're just retarded. I don't even know what else to say. If you're out here being evil, you're dumb as fuck. And that's what these people are. They're not negative. They're not dark. They don't have any real power. They're just caught in a cycle where, just look at some of these people. They look sickly. They look scared. They look stressed out. And then some of them, they have that smirk on their face like they're accomplishing something, right? Like, oh yeah, I figured it out. Okay. And then fast forward a couple years, and then they're on Twitter having a breakdown, right, about how they got cheated out of this and cheated out of that. So if you see these people out here smiling like they accomplished it, whoever the guy is who's hot now, give him a few years, he'll be complaining about how he got screwed over. It happens to almost all of them. They'll be doing a tell-all or, doing some podcast, right, because that's only thing that's been offered to them. But the damage has been done because he was already up there wearing a dress, doing, talking about selling drugs, disrespecting women for 4 or 5 years, giving it his all, trying to be the best that he can be at it, saying it in creative and different ways. And same thing she was doing, right? It's like she's telling everybody to eat, put their face in her vagina, but won't let her daughter even listen to it. And so you see that. And when you see this, you see that, okay, it's not necessarily the person, but it's the situation that they've been put in. Because many times if they've been put into a different situation, that maybe they would have had a different life. But many of them come from, a situation that you wouldn't want to be a part of before, and that this is what they see as their only way out, and that they had to make these deals in order to forward themselves. And so you find poor people with no spiritual foundation, people that don't know any better. These people are walking around everywhere, and they just weed them out. You don't even want somebody with a lot of talent. You just want because if you don't have a lot of talent, then that you don't have the most talent, and so you're willing to cut corners. They need as many people as they can that are willing to cut corners. Like, okay, let me sign this deal, because even when you get that deal, they're putting you in debt. And so, okay, yeah, we'll give you $1 million, but you need to give us 1.2 back. And so this is the same debt that people are going in when they're going into college, when they're taking on a mortgage. They're saying, okay, well, listen, we'll give you some money, but you pay us back more than that. And also, we're going to keep screwing you over. And so you won't even know how much money you're making to pay us back. So, when you at this show and somebody say you made 20,000 and you come back and you only got 1,000 of that, and you're trying to figure out what happened, and then also act like you're happy and that everything is all good and be dancing around with the money. Meanwhile, you're getting screwed over. You just living a hectic life. You're living a life where you have to fake things, and you'll see why a lot of them are drug addicts and struggling in life, because it's very hectic. And you're talking about young kids that are putting themselves into this, being made CEOs and stuff. And it's just funny because, you know, when you're young, you think you can do anything and you want to be the youngest person to accomplish anything. But it's all about who's put the battery in your back, because I went and I did a lot of those things, and I had the spiritual foundation to know right off the bat, okay, something's not right here. Something's horribly wrong, actually, right? And sometimes we see those things and we say, well, this is not right, but I'm going to keep going forward because it might not be that bad. Or maybe I'll just do this thing today and then they won't ask anything of me tomorrow. But you'll know that the farther you get in and the more that you say yes, the more that you're being abused, because they want to see how far you're willing to go. And the farther you're willing to go, the more clout you'll have. But what about your spirit? And these things just need to be said for the first video, because I wanted to show people how much confusion there is in the world, and how you can easily end up signing some papers and taking some type of oath if you're not careful, especially if you're chasing a dream that you want so bad that you're willing to do anything for it. And there's always those people. I mean, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of talented people who had the contract in front of them and said no, and you'll never hear from them again. But it's like, if you don't have that money to put like $1 million into your appearance and, you know, be in front of everybody pretending like you've accomplished something, that's really where the work comes in. Because somebody else said this, but, you know, it's finding the connection between art and what we're doing now with all the money and the cars and drugs, etc., etc. Basically saying, well, I guess this is the only kind of art that people like, because this is what we're going with over and over again. Silly. And also silly to think that you'd be some type of rebel if you were an artist or a musician that's signed by one of these companies, because they pretty much say everything that would make you a slave. They live the worst lifestyles, and they buy all the same brands and all the system stuff. Like, these people are all in the system completely. Like, they're buying everything that some sleep person would want to buy. Like, they're not, it's like, yeah, we'll just buy another car. Okay, cool, and it looks good. But at the same time, if you're following somebody like this and you think they have something to offer you, then you're sadly mistaken, and you'll be on the hook for years. And that's what many of these people do. Oh yeah, it's a new woman, it's a new guy, and they look shiny, they're wearing all this expensive stuff, they must have accomplished something, let me follow them. Oh yeah, they said some clever things over a beat. They got a lot of energy, they look happy, people care about them. And so I wanted to make this video to show maybe why somebody would want to be a part of that. Like, I definitely don't, but you'll just see how you could easily end up in a situation where you could be compromised. But basically what I wanted to kind of shed light on for this video is that this corporate interest in people in power, like, say every king needed a jester, somebody to make light of the situation, because the king can be very serious. The things that he's dealing with and engaging are can be very serious. So this would be like politics, law, police. These things are all very serious. But when you can bring in a jester or a joker, somebody that does art, that can give people life, give people some creations, and then when you can consolidate that and say, well, here's what the best people who are art, because we're being told what's quality. And so when you say, okay, well, this is what making music is, and this is the best people, when you're telling people what's cool, and then you're hiring people to do that, when you have art that meets with corporate interests, and you're deceiving large amounts of people, and you've been doing this for a long time, you create a situation that's very serious and that they want to really um, keep in control of, especially when you're giving people money that isn't a part of your family, when you're giving them money to deceive people. You want to make sure that they're doing that. And so this video is done. In the next video, I'll talk about the oaths that these people are taking and the rules and the guidelines that are being set up. But for this video, I just wanted to tell people, and let's build the groundwork and say, okay, there are high corporate interests, there's high level business interests out here, and it requires that normal looking people engage. So that's why they're hiring normal people that they can get to sign contracts and have oaths with this create a backstory for them, and basically somebody who's willing to lie about their entire life in order to fit a narrative that this is how people should be and this is what we should be doing. And so this is a huge scam, and the reason that these people are involved in this high stakes type of atmosphere is because they don't necessarily learn any spiritual knowledge, but they do learn a lot of criminal activity that's going on, and these are the type of oaths that they're taking, along with a lot of the secrets that they are learning about creation. Thank you.